What if Johnny down the street has a longer stick than me?
When you labor in nature or in voluntary transactions,
Negligence. You allow negligence in your society. That's permissible by law.
the majority in your system can enact violence how they see so fit.
Oh
upon the
no,
minority.
see, you know I'm right. That's why you flipped it back around, man.
More so, I'm shooting a bullet back after fighting mine.
Wrong.
Hello and welcome to Platinum Politics. I'm your host Mace, and today I have another fantastic debate for you. Today's debate is a challenge between the ideas of anarcho-capitalism and anarcho-communism. On our anarcho-capitalist side, we have Aurelius Argenti, who runs the YouTube channel Foundational Philosophy. On our anarcho-communist side, we have Alec Gunter, who runs the YouTube channel Alec Gunter. If you enjoy this debate, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. And if you want to come debate yourself, join the server. The link is down in the description. But without further ado, it is debate night. All right, we're live. Alec is live.
Cool.
So you're actually debating Alec's chair today. That's the goal.
Oh, okay. I get you.
Somewhat of a litmus test to see if you're worthy.
You know, we all got to start somewhere.
Really, I'm expecting a good debate.
Yeah, I think he's rather curious, so I think it'll be good. Fingers crossed.
Welcome back, Alec.
Hello, I'm back.
All right. So, everybody, welcome to Platinum Politics Debate Night. It's been a busy debate day. We got this one, and then we got one more after it. So this debate is an ANCAP, which is Aurelius, and anarcho-communist, who is Alec Gunter. So I've never actually watched like a straight up just ANCAP ANCOM debate, so I'm really curious to see how those two ideas actually do clash, and maybe I'll learn something.
Certainly not a calm one.
I think we could keep a level head.
No, I've talked to Aurelius before. I think this will be nice and calm and just a discussion.
Right.
Yeah.
So, just since I guess capitalism is more prevalent, we'll give Aurelius the first chance to speak about like what is anarcho-capitalism, why do you believe it, why is it better than your understanding of anarcho-communism, and then we'll give it to Alec, and then we'll open the floor. So, your 5-minute timer, Aurelius, starts now.
Wonderful. Hello, everybody. My name is Aurelius Argenti. I'm a student of libertarianism who has undertaken the goal of creating a unified theory of metaphysics, which seems to imply existential, aesthetic, and moral realism. I run a YouTube channel, Foundational Philosophy, where I'll be posting about that as I complete my work. The proposition that I will hold to in this debate is that natural law anarchism specifically, for which I am an advocate, is better for society than anarcho or democratic communism. I will say, when I say better, I mean so ethically, economically, and practically. In regards to ethics, I must speak about the standard that defines what a crime is and justifies the use of violence to resist it, law. The state is an organization that claims the monopoly on law creation, legal arbitration, and law enforcement over society. These monopolies are illegitimate, and the state is a protection racket that has assured society that is a necessary evil, and without them, there would be no order. And while I do agree that they are an evil, they are unnecessary. The non-aggression principle is the foundation of libertarian natural law, and properly defined, it is an objective, ethical, legal code that can be derived without the need of the state, even a democratic people's council, undermining the state's monopoly on law creation. Regarding economics, I suggest that the vast majority of economic theory can be deduced from this one proposition, which, if it holds, entails most of the conclusions of the Austrian School of Economics. Man acts. That is to say, there exists humans with agency, the capacity to implement resources as means towards ends or goals. Because of this, voluntary exchanges, those that involve the consent of all owners of resources involved in the exchange, even wage labor agreements, are mutually beneficial. That the value of goods are personal, not derivative from the labor it took to constitute them. As such, when taken with the ethics, I am for the abolition of intellectual property, limited liability, corporate personhood, mandated W-2 and 1099 labor contracts, minimum wage, taxation, which incentivizes market centralization and monopolization, indefinitely binding contracts, forced arbitration, subsidies, licenses, Department of War defense contracts, public property, aggressive wars of choice, and every other initiative and institution of the state. Lastly, regarding practicality, I advocate for what I have started to call libertarian colonialism. Upon private land, I wish to build and see built completely private towns, where the town developer maintains ownership of the major roads sells plots of land off of it to be developed similarly into smaller roads and buildings. The goal is to maximize disassociation with the state, and in service of that goal, the town center should be dedicated to the agora, the unregulated market where people may procure the goods and services that they need: hardware, groceries, security, medicine, electricity, and currencies. The town developer is neither a king, feudal lord, or township executive. He rules not over the people nor the land that he has sold to them. He may enforce his rules he may not enforce his rules with anything more than trespass, though if trespass is resisted, that may escalate to lethal force. Neither may the town developer, or any other road owner for that matter, trespass a person from traveling to their own property. At most, he may require that they do so without the use of any other vehicle, such as a car, through the use of road use permits. That covers the basics, so I will say that the system can be implemented today, here in some counties in America, right now. While the town would still be under the parasitic protection racket of the state, its necessary infrastructure would be wholly independent. I realize I've covered a lot of ground and would like to clarify that I don't hold it against Alec if we don't address all or even most of these topics, as to not Gish Gallop. I'm most interested in ethics, as I consider that to be the primary contention and the root of most of our disagreements. I consider Alec to be curious, which is the highest virtue of humanity, so I expect this to be an interesting conversation. With that, I cede my time.
All right. That was a very well-worded opening statement. That was really good. Very quick. I was really trying to listen to that. Alec, your 5-minute timer starts now.
Yeah, so I agree. I think that it will be a very interesting conversation. I remember talking with Aurelius Aurelius in the past about our worldviews, and I think that Aurelius also has a very beautiful mind. And I do think, though, that Aurelius is a bit convoluted. I think that this is too much. Aurelius, I respect you immensely. I think that you put a lot of thought into your system. I think that you put a little bit too much thought and not enough chill. Just chill. I think that the money part, the refusal, the absolute clinging to this number, this dollar sign, this euro, whatever, is ridiculous. It's silly. You don't need it. It's just an S with 2 lines through it, and like that, it can just be gone, okay? We don't need money. We never did. And I hope through the course of this discussion, I'm able to get that point across. I'll try to get it across right now as best I can. People live in a house. Usually, when you live in a house, you live with other people in that house, unless you live alone, which is, it's fine if you do. But most people live with other people, or at least have at some point. You grew up in a house with other people at the very least. And in this house, you can live. Not everybody does this. I know that some monetary exchange takes place in some households, but most people have done something in their house that, in fact, everybody's done something in their house that did not require a monetary exchange. You don't go to the bathroom and knock on the door where somebody then answers in a suit and tie and says, "That'll be $2.50, please, to take your shit." That doesn't happen. You can go take a shit. You can just do it, flush it, and it'll go to the sewer system, and nobody pays a dime. You just do that. You just go to the kitchen. You just grab food from the kitchen and make it, and then you eat it. You do not pay a dime during that process, okay? Somebody supplied the food there, and you went to grab it, okay? Now, imagine that the society were like that. And we're going to start small, but I want to work since I only have 5 minutes, the society can be just like a house. Okay? If you can imagine it happening in a house, you can imagine it happening in 2 houses. Okay? In 2 houses that can just bounce things back and forth between each other without any monetary exchange at all. Maybe they have a shared lawnmower, for instance. You don't need 2 lawnmowers between 2 houses. That's ridiculous. Just have one. You can just share it. And then, like, when I'm using the lawnmower, you don't desperately need it that badly right now. I guarantee you the grass will not grow 5 feet in the next 2 seconds, okay? You can trim your lawn when I'm done with the lawnmower. And I think that person would also agree, okay? And even just from a resource standpoint, this makes so much more sense. Like, why would you not just share the thing instead of each having your own? That's pointless. Then you have to manage 2 of them as well. You have to figure out where to put them. You have to put resources into fixing both of them. Like, that's silly. Just have one. And then when that one busts, you can go get another one, and you both take care of it. Point is, 2 houses can accomplish this. And if 2 can do it, then 3 can do it. You can throw a 3rd one in the mix. And then how about 5? And then how about 10? And then how about an entire neighborhood just doing this with no monetary exchange whatsoever? There's a community pool, perhaps. You have a grill out every summer. Somebody brings the patties. They cook them. They don't expect money for that. Does your uncle expect money from everybody when he cooks at the grill? I don't think so, okay? So all this is my worldview, all right? Ancompolis. What would even the name of that be? There's Ancapistan,
Ancomistan?
I don't know. Somebody, Ancomistan, fine. Ancomistan's fine. I was trying to go for something a little more unique, but Ancomistan's fine. It's just one gigantic neighborhood where you're always having a grill out party. That's my vision for society.
Oh, I was about to say 30 seconds, but I guess you're done. Okay, both very good opening statements. I'm going to open the floor, and you guys can start discussing.
So you seem mostly interested in the economics. Would that be true?
It would be my lack of interest, but yes. Like I listen, I'll admit openly, I'm not an economy guy. I'm not a money guy. I don't know stonks. Okay. I don't do that, but I also don't feel the need to maybe I should understand it a little better just so I can argue better. But at the same time, like, I don't feel the need to have that in a society. I think it's pointless. Humanity can exist without an economy. That's just something we made up.
So say that we had worldwide Incomistan, the sort of like species consciousness where everyone's living in a great big house together. I want to take a higher order good that we all know. Think about,
I like Ancomia. No, that sounds like diarrhea. Never mind. Never mind.
Think about like a higher order good that we all know, like a pencil, a number 2 pencil. You have the entire world to try to produce the pencils at the quantity demanded at the lowest cost of resources. So not money, but just like fewest man hours, fewest like raw materials and everything like that.
The most efficient.
Yeah. How do you do that? How do you know that you're being efficient?
You keep records? What do you mean?
Like compare them to each other. So like say just sourcing the wood. What is the wood that you should use for a number 2 pencil?
I wouldn't have the slightest idea.
Right.
I mean, we can figure that out. And then, if we really want to try to juice as much efficiency out of it as possible, we can have people look into this, certainly. We can say, okay, we need some researchers studying like the wood that lasts the longest in a lead pencil, please. And then if the society feels that's a worthwhile endeavor, then we throw money at it. Or not money. It wouldn't be money because there's no money in my society. You'd say,
resources.
you basically, see, and my brain is so poisoned by capitalism that I literally just shot my own argument in the dick. But what you would do though is you would basically just have the community as a democracy, and maybe you have people who represent you to do this, right?
Whoa! I thought we were talking about anarchism, not democracy.
You can have democracy in an anarchic society.
We'll put a pin in that.
That's not government. No. But I want to do this now because that's important. Okay. Democracy is a core component of this strategy. You can have democracy in a household. Do you call that governance?
Well, if you think about I'm an etymology guy more than like a dictionary guy. Democracy means rule by the people. That is a form of rule to where the majority has say.
You can call it that if you want. But if the majority rules, I mean, what better system do you have than that? The guy with the most money?
No, natural law anarchism. No man is a ruler of any other man. You are entitled to rule over your own resources, your private property, which you have the exclusive right to use, and you may exclude others from using your private property, but you also have the right to include others' uses of that private property if you would so like.
When you say a right, what do you mean?
Exclusive permissibility. So there's three...
As enforced by who?
Enforcing of property rights would be a service, and you could either acquire a service for yourself, you may contact an associate, or you can contract a specialist, just like any other good or service.
Okay, so I have to take money out of my paycheck to buy a service to protect my shit.
Or you could acquire it for yourself, or you could contact an associate, whichever.
Acquire it myself. So how do I go about acquiring it myself? I need money. Like, I need to go to work. I don't have time for that.
Well, you could sharpen a stick that you pick off the ground.
And it would be the most effective. Might I ask? And do what with it?
Make sure that no one else steals your other sticks.
What if Johnny down the street has a longer stick than me?
So then you labor either in nature or in voluntary transactions with other people.
It's too late. It's too late. He came over with his long stick and stole everything. I did exactly what you said. I got a stick out of my backyard. I sharpened it. Johnny down the street had a longer stick and he stabbed me and took all my shit. Thankfully I lived, but now I have no shit. Johnny took it.
My point in bringing up the 3 different means, acquiring it for yourself, contacting an associate, or contracting a specialist, is at any level you can acquire these at any level of resources or social connections that you have.
So you're saying then with enough money, Johnny doesn't even need a stick. He can just get an army.
I mean, that's what
And
happens.
they can come take my shit. And they can come take my shit.
This is descriptive of every system, because even if you're talking about within a democracy
There's
or
no money in
within
mine.
a state, no, I'm not talking about money, but to acquire any
Yes, you are.
service, you're still acquiring it for yourself, contacting an associate, or contracting a specialist. In your case, it's mostly about contacting associates. Who would stop a robber from attacking your house? It would be the associates that are in your house that would stop them.
Yes, I communicate them and employ them to stop people from entering my house for free, which I guess would make them my slaves in that instance.
What?
They don't do it for money. Like you said, this happens in my system too, where like the what did you say? The comrades or whatever in my house, the associates in my house would help me stop a person from entering my house or even just my room. Like, let's say that it's a neighborhood, or
Say
let's
it's
say
assaulting
neighborhood.
you. Say it's assaulting you.
It's assault. What's assaulting me?
Say like the crime that you're trying to stop them from committing is assaulting you.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, so yeah, I'm being assaulted. I'm being assaulted, and then the other people in my house come over, grab the guy, and restrain him. Right?
Yeah, they got the black pepper with them.
Okay, and how much do I pay them for such a service?
Whatever you agree to with them.
Okay, what if I can't pay
within
them?
your system? I'm talking within your system. Contacting associates would be like bartering and social reputation. It's hey,
Or crying help.
Yeah.
That's contacting them too.
Well, that would be another social reputation thing. If you're the boy who cried wolf, they're likely not gonna respond to the cries for help.
I'm not the boy who cried wolf. I'm being attacked. What do you mean? I'm crying help.
I'm saying it still applies to social reputation.
Yeah, I'm sure there might be a few boys who cried wolf, and we'll deal with that when we come to it. But for right now, I'm being attacked. I'm not a boy who cried wolf, and I'm calling for help. I don't need to pay anybody for that.
Yeah, I'm saying contacting an associate, there's no resource exchange. Only contracting specialists is there a resource exchange.
Well, that's what I'm saying is there's no money needed in this equation. If I cry for help, somebody will simply come to help.
What if you need a specialist? What if you need more resources, more manpower than associates that you have?
Then I ask for more help. This person's already trying to help me. They might as well call like the local violence bureau or whatever and be like, hey, listen, we got a situation. Bring the man catchers. Like we need like trained individuals on this.
And if there are insufficient associates who will volunteer for the incentive of being helpful, what then?
We have a council meeting. We say, hey guys, there's a lot of violence going on right now and we don't have enough people helping us to stop it. Okay. Now all we're asking for is a few people to step forward and put forward some of their time to helping others and stopping this violence. Is there anybody here? Like, I'm sure that you guys don't want violence to happen to you. So like, it could be you next. You don't know.
Mm-hmm. And regarding this council meeting, there's a definition of economics, which is the study of the allocation of scarce resources with alternative uses. You get what I mean by that? So like,
so
say
you're saying that this violence only occurs in the first place because there's a scarcity of resources?
Well, scarcity is inherent to the universe.
No,
say
sir.
like one resource cannot occupy the same space as another.
There is zero reason to believe that.
What I mean by scarcity is there is physical exclusion. One resource cannot occupy the same space as another. You cannot put a pear in the same place that you put an apple.
Can it not?
Yes.
Can it not? I mix apple juice with my orange juice sometimes.
They still displace each other.
They're occupying but they're occupying the same cup. They're occupying the same space. What do you mean?
They still displace each other. Like the atoms aren't like in the exact same position. They slide past each
The
other.
electrons might be. The
Electrons are in like a quantum like superposition, like in a
Oh, that's an exception. That's other stuff that we're not talking about right now, even though that's integral to the atom, right?
But think about like say.
Hold on.
Okay,
Let's get this down. Yes, they can occupy the same exact space at the same exact time. Even the electrons.
I'm saying they can't.
You're saying they can, right?
I'm saying they can't. So when you fill up a glass
why?
with orange juice,
But you're wrong.
When you fill up a glass with orange juice, say like by a cup, then it takes the volume of a cup. When you add a cup of apple juice to that, the total volume that is now in the cup is 2 cups. It doesn't increase in density.
And now they both occupy the same cup, right?
They're the same cup, but they're in the same space.
Okay, how do I separate them?
Like they've mixed together. But I'm talking about volume.
Are you telling?
Exists.
Wait,
I'm saying that volume is
the only way you can mix is if you're in the same spot.
Not the same. Like not the exact same. They're sliding past each other.
Let's say it's orange juice then. Orange juice can be in the same spot as other orange juice, right?
I wouldn't say the same. No.
No. Why? So things can't even be in the same places themselves then. So what's the point of this conversation?
What do you mean themselves?
You can't be in the same place as you because you are. No, but if orange juice can't even be in the same place as orange juice, then why are we having this discussion?
Because when you're saying orange juice, can orange juice be in the same place as orange juice? Say you pour a cup of orange juice in. That is orange juice A, the stuff that's already in the cup. Then you have orange juice B in your other hand, and those atoms, all of those molecules of sugar and everything else like that, you pour it in, they cannot occupy the same space. Like, exactly. If you were to have spatial coordinates for every single molecule, none would overlap.
So no molecule can occupy the same space as another molecule.
Yeah.
And therefore, no atom can occupy the same space as another atom, right?
Yeah. They're repulsive forces.
Okay.
When you get down
Except
to
the atoms bond. The atoms bond, they mix. So two atoms together are not two different atoms. They're a molecule. OH,
yeah, they can form relations with each other.
HOH, 3 molecules, hydrogen and oxygen. They're not hydrogen and oxygen anymore. You can't zoom into the hydrogen and say, well, this behaves like hydrogen. No, it doesn't. You need, in order to have water, you need 3 parts of the whole, okay? And so what am I trying to say here? What I'm trying to say is the way that you describe things being in the same place as it's impossible for any one thing to be in the same place as itself, because when you break it down far enough, nothing's in the same place as anything else, and therefore nothing's anywhere.
I have a specific ontology when it comes to and it gets very esoteric.
Okay, yeah, I know, because you're thinking about this in the wrong terms.
I wouldn't think this
Everything is everywhere and nowhere all at once.
Say that you were in the Garden of Eden, everything was just a hand's grasp away. There would still be scarcity over standing room. Yes. So, just mythical area, everything is a hand's grasp away. There would still be scarcity over standing room. You could not occupy the same standing room as somebody else. No one can stand within you.
Okay,
now imagine Eden is infinite. In that brick.
Now imagine Eden is infinite.
Say an infinite plane going off in all directions. Yes. Because there's still volumes within that space. 2 volumes cannot occupy the same space.
There's volumes within infinity?
Yeah.
Can you go into detail for that? With that, so what do you mean by that? How do you fill up infinity?
No. You don't need to fill up infinity.
How do I know when infinity is half full?
There are only, do you say holes?
How do I know when infinity is half full?
I'm not
what will tell me that? What do you mean? You just said there's volumes within infinity. So infinity is filling up, right? Infinity is filling up. It has to be.
Yes, but it can't get half full. There aren't these measures.
So, so then it sounds like problem solved. If we have an infinite plane for people to stand on, then no matter how many people spawn, there will always be a place for them to stand, right?
They can still come into conflicts over standing room, however, because they have different volumes.
Why ever would they? There's more room over there.
I'm just saying they can. I'm not saying that they must.
They can, but they have to have a reason for doing it, right? They don't just do it.
Sure. Yeah, they would need the ends of I want to stand here, you want to stand here. We're now in a conflict.
But why? What's so special about that spot? Why do I want it?
That would be a question to ask him, and I think we're getting pretty nicely into ethics.
But the point is, no, you're pre-concluding already that people will just conflict with each other. Just spontaneously, they just fight. That's human nature. They just start fighting, right?
That's more so this was just talking about their scarcity exists. That's getting to why people fight is a later thing. But scarcity exists.
But my point is, if it's infinity, then it's not scarcity, right? So if I can convince you that there are infinite resources, there should be no scarcity and no reason to fight, right?
I wouldn't. Could you repeat that for me?
If I can convince you that there are infinite resources, then there should be no reason to fight over resources, right? Not really.
I wouldn't say so, no.
Hey,
because what
there are infinite resources, so there's no reason to fight.
Oh, I said I wouldn't say so. Wouldn't. Sorry.
You wouldn't. Okay, so wait. Oh, then why are we fighting? Why are we fighting then?
To explain what I mean is because it would be about particular resources. Because would you agree, say the microphone stand that you have right now, it cannot be at 2 places at once, yes?
No, but we can just make another one.
Sure, but that particular microphone is physically scarce. It cannot be at 2 places at once.
What's so special about this one? Why does Joe down the street want it? Why this one specifically?
Not saying that they need to. Not saying that anybody needs to want to take it or anything else like that. I'm just talking about the fact of scarcity.
Then there's no problem. Okay, great. Then my microphone's mine. That's fine.
Okay, so
nobody wants it. So
with this scarcity, there can be conflicts over resources. Not saying that there will be, just that there can be.
With my microphone, that was your example. Who wants it?
I'm not saying that there. Do you agree that there can be? Not necessarily that there will be.
Only if there's a reason. Only if there's a reason. Joe down the street is not going to go rabid and start foaming at the mouth and try to grab my microphone for no reason. He would want a reason, right? Like he would want it for a reason.
Sure, people typically act for reasons.
Yes, almost always, like 99.99% of the time. And
They
even when they
implement
don't,
means
like
towards ends.
even when they don't, usually there's a natural, spontaneous occurrence that causes them to behave what we call irrationally. But in their head, it's completely rational. Like everybody has a rationality for why they do the things they do. Everybody.
Right. There's
So that's my point. Is you're suggesting to me an impossible scenario, basically. Joe down the street wants my microphone and wants to fight with me over it for no reason.
I'm not
He's
suggesting
simply okay. Then I have my microphone. There's a scarcity of Alec Gunter's RE20 microphone, but it doesn't matter because it's mine and nobody else wants it. So I'm the only person who needs it, and therefore there's no scarcity, is there? If I'm the only one who needs it.
Scarcity is just talking about the volumes. Something can't be in two places at once, and one thing cannot be in two different places at the same time.
But if the only person who needs the microphone, me, has the microphone, there's no scarcity of this microphone because everybody who needs it has it.
What do you mean by scarcity? Everyone who needs it has it?
What I mean is lack of things that people need or
So, like,
want.
deprivation?
Lack of things that people need or want. Yes, like sort of. Not deprivation, because that implies you're taking something. What I mean is, like if there's a pile of food sitting in front of two people and there's only enough to feed them for 3 days, right? There's scarcity. There's scarcity on this, like if you're One Piece fan, right? There's a bag of food that, pirate gives to a little kid. And the little kid eats all of it and the pirate has none. There's scarcity of food on this desolate rock, right? So like that scarcity is lack of a resource that you need or want.
Is there perhaps a better term that you could agree to describe what I'm talking about? Because scarcity seems to be like a pretty loaded term, especially within like economic conversations. But the sense in which I mean is just this physics sense of two resources cannot occupy the same volume. And then one resource cannot occupy two different volumes that are an arbitrary distance greater than 0 from each other.
Let's just run with this. Fine.
Okay. Because of the fact that of these two premises, there can be two types of conflicts over resources, where a conflict is when two people with agency, this sort of like using resources as means towards ends that we're talking about, when two people with agency wish to use a resource towards mutually exclusive means towards their respective ends, on the condition that there can be mutually exclusive means. So what do I mean by that? And I have like a situation to pull up is somebody who's the guy that we're talking about frothing at the mouth wanting to take
Joe down the street.
Joe down the street. Say Joe down the street wants to sell your microphone in the current society we have now, not talking about communism. Joe down the street wants to bring your microphone outside of the home. Your microphone is currently inside of the home and you're using it to stream. These uses of the microphone are mutually exclusive. So then the question arises of which use may occur. Should Joe's use occur or should yours occur? Or should neither occur? Or should both occur?
Joe needs to argue that his need for the microphone is greater than mine.
How do you mean?
Otherwise, he's the only option he's left. I mean, why would he not ask for it first? Just say, "Hey, man, like I know you need that microphone, but it's worth a lot of money. Alec Gunter's microphone, I could sell that for $5 gajillion, and then feed myself forever." No, probably like $1,000 if that, and then like rent is paid for a month. So he has to convince me basically that his rent is more important than my microphone, and that also there's no other way for him to procure that $1,000.
He doesn't care about convincing you. Yeah, say he doesn't care about convincing you and wants to do it against your consent.
Why would he not care about convincing me? Wouldn't it be much easier if I just hand the microphone over to him? That's the easiest path forward.
He wants to do it without coming into contact with you at all. He wants to like break in when you're not here.
Why would he not want to come into contact with me? Why?
So he doesn't get caught. So he doesn't he wants this microphone and there's nothing that's stopping him from getting it.
So then he's made the calculation in his head that he does not think I think that he deserves this microphone to sell, right? Or that he can't convince me that he needs it more than me.
Yeah. He is not trying to acquire your consent whatsoever.
Okay. So then the two options forward for him are as follows. One, he can try to break into my house and take it because he still thinks that he deserves it. Okay.
Yeah.
And he doesn't think that he can convince me.
Yeah.
Right. And the thing that he's doing is putting him at risk of being arrested, charged with breaking in and theft, maybe even with a weapon. Right. Like, he's putting a lot on the line for this microphone so that he can pay his rent. And he has made the calculation.
Do you know that he shouldn't have it?
My microphone?
Yeah, he steals it.
Do I know? He never tried to engage with me. Maybe he should have it. I don't know. But he's made the calculation in his head that he can't convince me of that. And so therefore, it's much easier to, even avoid trying, because otherwise he'll know if my microphone, I'll know if my microphone's gone and he asked for it. He probably took it. Joe down the street stole my microphone. Obviously, he wouldn't want that out there. So, he breaks into my house without contacting me because he doesn't think he can convince me, steals my microphone, does this because he doesn't think that there's any other way he can procure $1,000 to make rent and not go homeless. And then he sells my microphone to keep himself from going homeless. And he thinks that he can do all of this without getting caught, right? Sure. Okay. If he didn't think that, then he wouldn't do it, right? We agree on that.
Yeah. He's making a cost-benefit analysis.
Now imagine this. Imagine he has no rent to pay. Would he still try to steal my microphone?
It would still be possible for him to want to.
Why? What's his new reason? On a whim?
Say it's just like he likes collecting people's microphones.
Okay, good. So he likes stealing microphones and collecting them in his trophy room. We're getting pretty out there now, but let's run with this. Sure. Okay, so he just has this trophy room of streamers' microphones that he's stolen. Why? Why does he have this?
Because he was abused at a young age, and microphones saved his life.
Sure, he was abused at a young age.
Example if we want to go with it, but go on.
Okay, he was abused at a young age, and a microphone swooped in and saved his life.
No, in a more so mental health sense rather than physically saved his life sense.
Okay, maybe his mom was a singer, and his dad decided to attack both of them. So mom grabbed the microphone and beat him over the head with it. How about that?
Violent, but good, sure.
Okay, so a microphone saved his life. He is fixated on that microphone as being the instrument that saved him. And so now, as a result, whenever he sees a microphone on stream, he must have it. And so he devises plans and to break into people's house. I mean, he only lives down the street from me. So he's seen my microphone and it's beautiful. He has a microphone fetish, I guess. So he now breaks into and he doesn't want to tell me about it, right? Because he knows this is weird, and he knows that in the end, I probably he still wants to not be seen as a weirdo by me, and he also doesn't think that I'll give him the microphone, right? Otherwise, he just asked me for it. He if he really thought, if he really wanted it, and he thought that I would just hand it over, he would just come tell me. He'd be like, "Hey, man, listen, I just really, really like your microphone, and I want it," right?
It would likely be less risky of an option.
Yeah, and maybe I'd be inclined to give it to him for the for something in return. Maybe my microphone is worth more to him than it is to me, right?
Okay, but
I wouldn't judge him.
Does that engage in the moral analysis of if he has the right to take it?
If I give it to him, he does, doesn't it?
We'll say
that means that he does have it.
Again, against your consent. Because you can give away your entire apartment, you can give away every plushie, you could give away your couch or anything, but.
So we've had this discussion, me and him, and I've made the mental calculation. No, I paid good money for this, and you're not offering me enough, either reason or something else, like favors maybe, or money, if we're living in your society, to take it, right? No deal. It's my microphone. Okay, and then either that, or he just decides it's not worth trying, and then he breaks in and steals it, right? Is that what we're going with?
Do you know that he is obligated not to do so, or that he is forbidden from doing so, or that he shouldn't do so?
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. He did it.
Why doesn't that matter?
It doesn't matter to him, really. If he thought that, he wouldn't do it.
Sure, but say the police get here and start to arrest him, beat him up for it. He resists.
The police? Wait, are we living in my society or your society? There's no police in either of them.
Say the associates come over and start to detain him, or try to get the microphone back, and he resists it. He has it in his possession. He's like, "It's mine now. You all should step off and not use violence upon me."
Okay. At a certain point, we might just decide it's not worth this escalating. We'll just get Alec Gunter a new microphone, okay? You can keep that one, but for the love of God, you can't just break into people's houses and take their microphones, man. You can't do that. And if you do, we're going to have to take further measures on this. We're going to have to separate you from society because you're clearly a menace. You can't just bust into people's private domains like that.
How are you going to separate him from society?
Put him in a building with a lock. What do you mean? Lock him behind a door.
What justifies that use of violence against him?
Because he's breaking into people's private domains against their will.
So he shouldn't be doing that, I presume, because that's what justifies the violence. You should not do that. Therefore, it is okay for us to obligate you not to do that.
Yes, and the society, the democratically run society, has some sort of system in place whereby we take people like that, separate them off, and if we can try to, fix them and reintegrate them, I hesitate to use the word fix, but for all intents and purposes, fix them and reintegrate them, make sure they don't do it again, right? Then we should. We should do that. But my society would have measures like that in place, just by virtue of being democratic and people understanding that, yes, we need this in place.
Well, what is the moral justification for where you draw the line of what's a crime and what's not?
Well,
what justifies putting people in this box or cage or building?
I and most of society have democratically decided that we like having our own individual spaces with locks, and we call that a house. So if I have or an apartment building, but for all intents and purposes, a house. So if I have my house and the society's decided that it's mine and I get a lock and I get to do things in private with nobody interrupting that privacy against my will, and then somebody breaks that, then the democratic society understands this person is a menace. Because if they're willing to do it to me, they'd be willing to do it just as easily to somebody else. Okay? And it doesn't matter even if it weren't somebody else. Let's say it's a family member and they broke in. Okay? The society understands that if we don't take that person, my family member, from this situation and stop them from doing it to me again, they're setting a precedent. And that precedent is that people can break into houses. And they don't want that precedent.
So is it just the preferences of the majority set what they can use violence or not? What they can use violence against or not?
It's an oversimplified way of viewing it, but sure, I think that's fair.
So the body of the people get together, and the majority votes that we want to use violence against this thing for whatever individual reasons that they have, but overall they have a preference against this thing occurring. So they say, therefore, violence is justified against that. Would you agree with that?
How would I what would I do to stop them?
You could fight back. I
fight back. I disagree and I fight back, right?
Okay.
Yeah, you can do that.
Do you know if you're acting in the right or not?
I think I am. Why would I be doing what I'm doing otherwise? I mean, I fight against the majority already just by virtue of being an ANCOM. I think I'm right. But I'm not sitting here attacking people and saying, well, you need to do it my way. Do it my way. No, I'm just trying to convince as many as I can that my way is the best way.
Okay. But say, regarding this violence thing, one of the silly examples on the justification of the use of violence is the banning of raw milk in the United States. Raw milk is banned. The majority have elected politicians, which has put in the bureaucrats at the FDA who say that it's illegal to sell raw milk for human consumption. And this has led to ratings of farm stores and Amish markets and everything like that, where they have their guns drawn, and if anybody resists them from pouring out their raw milk, which is their property, which they worked for, they're liable to get shot. Is this use of force justified?
What use of force? To steal the raw milk?
Yeah, steal and destroy the raw milk with arms drawn.
If you ask that person, they'd probably say yes, right?
Which person? Sorry, the one using
the person
the
who
force?
stole it. I might not think that, but the person stealing it clearly does. Let's ask them.
Why does their opinion matter?
What do you mean? They're the one doing it. Don't you want to know why?
I mean, sure. I think knowing why.
Let's figure out why then. Why would? Okay, then, but no, not to me. Why it's okay to them. And let's see if we can empathize with this person. Why do you think this person feels justified stealing milk from farmers?
Because they're the foot soldier of the state who has permitted them to do so.
Wait, so the state's it's a state raid?
Yeah. In the United States, raw milk is illegal to sell, and then the FDA, I don't know if it's them specifically or one of the other agencies, they raid.
Oh, okay, I see.
Yeah.
So then the democratically elected society, if we're running with the idea that this is all through legitimate democracy, which we can have that discussion, but sure. Legitimate democracy, and you have the FDA raiding farmhouses and taking their unpasteurized milk, right? That they were going to sell.
Yes.
Right? Okay. Who's stopping them from doing this? It doesn't matter if it's their right or not. The people who uphold the rights right now is the United States fucking government. So the only rights you have are those granted to you by that system. There are rights that you think you may ought to have, okay? And we can go over those.
Say trying to think of another example than the one that immediately came to mind. I'll go with it. World War II Germany, because gotta go with the Nazis. Yep. Did the Nazis violate the rights of the Jews?
I think they did. I'm sure you think they did, right?
Do you think they only violated the rights of the Jews that they ought to have had?
Yes.
Okay, but
Clearly they didn't have those rights in that moment, or else it wouldn't have happened to them. The whole point of a right is that The whole point of a right is that when somebody infringes upon it, there is a higher power that's stopping them. That's how rights work. So if there's no higher power that's stopping Nazi Germany from infringing upon the rights of Jews, then those Jews don't have those rights, do they? Not really. Those are just rights that we think they ought to have. And I do think they ought to have the right to not have their home invaded. I do believe in that.
I think rather, I draw my categories differently. I think the ought in your statement is within right itself. A right is the exclusive permissibility to do something. So I have a right to bear arms. It is okay, it may occur that I may bear arms, and I may exclude anybody who wishes to stop me.
Okay, so you have a fundamental right to bear arms, yes?
Yeah.
Let's say that the democratically elected society tells you, no, you don't, and they take your gun. What do you do?
We'll say there's what is practical and then what is ethically justifiable. Because what is ethically justifiable...
Why are those different?
Because the category of like ethically justifiable or permissible defines what is criminal and what is not morally.
Criminal.
What is it?
Okay, so you're defining your ethics by like the legality of the thing. So like what you would do would be unethical, right? If you were to try to maintain ownership of your gun.
It's more so there are three fundamental categories in ethics: permissible, obligatory, and forbidden. Permissible is it may occur. Forbidden is that it may not occur, and then obligatory is that it must occur. In my view, I'm a natural law anarchist. I believe that there exists natural law that violating what you are obliged to do, what is obligatory, what you ought to do, is a violation of natural law, and that is what constitutes a crime. Violating what you are forbidden from doing something that you're forbidden from doing, is a violation of natural law, and that is a crime. It's very much a tight category, and then many things are permissible.
So wait, how can you call it anarchy if it's run by natural law?
Natural law is just the category of moral actions. It is a derivative.
You don't have an anarchy, though. It's not anarchy.
How do you think it's not anarchy?
Because you're governed by nature.
How so governed? Your rights...
Well, what does natural law mean? You tell me. It's natural law, right?
Yeah, it's the category for what is permissible and not. I'm not suggesting that nature is governed.
Then why is it called natural law? Don't you think that's confusing?
Because it defines what a crime is. It doesn't enforce it.
A crime as a court. If it doesn't enforce it, then it's not the law, is it? There's no enforcement mechanism.
It's the natural law. It defines the difference.
Okay, so how does nature
and
enforce the
non-permissible
law?
action. I'm not saying that nature enforces the law. I'm saying that enforcement happens through man. Man has to act to enforce natural law.
Then it's man law. How is
it man law? It's not derived from the opinions
because man's
of men.
enforcing it. And what are the opinions of nature? Have you spoken to a tree on this matter?
I'm not saying it's the opinions of nature. I'm saying that it's derivative from nature, from the underlying order of the universe, if you like to say.
From where in nature? The underlying order? As in what? What secrets do you have?
It's from these scarcities, this idea of scarcity that I brought up before. I could run you through
it's derived from scarcity?
Yes, it's derived from the facts of scarcity.
That's where we're going to disagree, because I don't believe in scarcity.
Scarcity in
scarcity only exists. That one thing can't occupy the same space as another that we also disagree on.
And that one thing cannot occupy two spaces at a distance.
Okay.
Either.
We go back to the infinite Garden of Eden. Okay. Yes. And I'm standing in one spot, and Joe down the street standing in another spot. And for some reason, I want his spot, right?
Sure. Yes.
That's scarcity. The fact that spot exists is that spot, and my spot is not that spot. And two different people want to occupy that spot at the same time, but we can't, right?
Yeah. That it's a potential conflict.
So the way that you resolve that conflict is not with a fucking private military. The way that you do it is by talking to Joe from down the street and saying, hey, man, I want that spot.
That's arbitration.
And then Joe might say...
But what should the outcome be?
That's up to those two.
So, you disagree. Arbitration is like you're coming to an arbitrary outcome. And yet, there exists, I'm suggesting, we know who may win the conflict, and we know who may not win the conflict.
Whoa,
it is the latecomer.
Whoa. Win what? What's the conflict? What do you mean?
So you wish to stand in the same you wish to use your body to occupy the standing room that Joe is
I
currently
got it.
occupying.
We want to
right
stand
now.
in the same spot, on the same
Yeah.
square in the mall, right?
Your ends is to occupy the space, or your means is to occupy the space.
Yes.
His means is to occupy the space. You cannot do so at the same time. Yes?
Okay, but you're turning this into a competition by default. Expand your
Well, it's a
brain a little
conflict.
bit and imagine that I can convince him that his goal is not simply to stand in that spot, but to share it with me.
And that would be acting with his consent to get him to move out of the way. But what about the
Yes.
cases where he does not consent?
Okay, now there's a conflict because now we both want the spot and neither of us are willing to give it up. If the spot's sitting in front of us, well, we haven't compromised, so all that's left is to, I guess, try to take it by force, right?
But who should not win that conflict?
It doesn't matter who ought not win that conflict. It's just a matter of strength at that point.
Why do you think so? Why do you think that it doesn't matter who ought not win that conflict?
Who deserves the spot then? What do you think?
I would suggest that the first comer has the exclusive permissibility over that spot.
But that's silly. Why? Why is it whoever got there first?
Because in getting there first, they got there and acquired the resource not through any conflict with anybody else. The person that is the latecomer to the resource wants to acquire it through a conflict with somebody else.
Do you know Coconut Island? Are you
Yes.
familiar?
Vosh,
What's your answer to that? For those who don't know, basically,
Yeah, right.
two guys wake up on an island. One wakes up first, gets all the coconuts. Other guy wakes up, says, I'm hungry. Guy with coconut says, okay, you can have one of my coconuts, but you have to suck my dick for it. And the question is, first of all, would you? Second of all, is that exploitation?
What do you mean by exploitation? I'll say no, I wouldn't. And what do you mean by exploitation?
You wouldn't. So you would starve, right?
Yes.
Okay, that's fair. So by exploitation, what I mean is you just by pure happenstance have acquired a resource and hoarded it and caused a scarcity. Okay. Every scarcity really is a man-made one. Okay. It's either man-made or nature-made, and we can overcome any nature-made scarcity that nature has to throw at us. So pretty much every scarcity is man-made at the end of the day. Okay. So this is a man-made scarcity, and the only reason it exists is to exploit another person for some kind of extra favor, like sexual in nature in this case, or it could be anything. It could be massage my feet, which could also be seen as sexual by a lot of people, but you get my point. Like, you can ask for any number of things. The point is you create a scarcity to better your own means at the expense of someone else. You're basically a parasite. You're a
So would you
parasite.
be asking, say, with these categories, is the person who acquired all of these coconuts, was their acquisition of those coconuts impermissible? Was it forbidden? Should they not have done that?
It doesn't matter. There's nobody to enforce whether or not they ought to have done it. Now, in my opinion, no. I think that the better thing to do, since there's two people and you need to just, if both of them recognize what's fair and understand the value of each other as much as they understand the value of themselves, they will simply share the coconuts.
We'll say the person hoards the coconuts, they exclude the one who just woke up from the coconuts, and they don't even offer the favor or anything else like that. They're just taking all the coconuts, refusing to give any to the man. Does that justify the man who just woke up? Does that justify his use of violence upon the man to take his coconuts?
Absolutely.
How do you know?
I would do it.
You would do it because you don't want to starve, you want to have the coconuts for sustenance. How do you know that
Yes,
justifies
many.
violence?
I would leave him some. I would leave him plenty. I just need some for myself right now until I can find another source of food. So yes, if it comes down to it, I will attack him for that. Yes, even if it
How
means
do you know
killing him.
that violence is justified?
Because I would do it.
Why would you do? Like, you have your reasons.
Because
to,
I'm
but how do
hungry.
you know that those reasons justify violence?
Because I'm hungry. I need food to survive, and my life is just as valuable as that motherfucker's. So if he's going to hoard all that food, I might just have to attack him. I'll break his arms if I have to, and his legs. I'll do whatever I got to do to get some of that fucking food, because I value myself just as much as I value him, but he's making this very difficult.
I don't really see how you're getting an ought from an is here, basically.
Okay, then let me turn the question back on you.
Sure,
Why
go
ought
for it.
I not do it? Why ought I not do it? What's stopping me?
I would say, applying it to this specific example, say that we assume that it is okay to take a coconut from the little crate that he has filled with the coconuts.
Okay.
I'm considering this idea before it occurs. So I assume that it's okay for me to take one of these coconuts before I actually do it. I'm engaging like a thought exercise. That would then imply that he cannot engage in the same use of the coconut at the same time. I'm excluding his use of the coconut at the same time.
Yeah, because I'm
And
prioritizing my use of it, because what he's doing it with it right now is just letting it sit.
And if it is impermissible for him to use the coconut at this prior time to me actually taking it, that would continue back for his entire use of it. It was never okay for him to exclude me from that coconut by taking it for himself. It was never okay for him to have the exclusive permissibility to use that coconut and bring it over to the crate. It was never okay for him to take it off of the tree in the first place. And if it was never taken off of the tree in the first place, then there would be no coconut for me to take from the crate.
This is very silly. I don't know how you got there.
True.
No, I don't think so. I of course it's okay to take it off the tree and put it in a crate for consumption. That's fine. Like, you got to feed yourself, but like what you're saying is
excluding that resource from
no,
everyone else.
No. You see, what you're trying to do is warp time, because all I'm saying is at this current moment, I'm starving to death and he's not, and that coconut's sitting there. So in his possession, right now, not before, right now, all that coconut is doing is sitting there. So he did have permission.
He's using it to store it for later.
Yes, and I'm telling him he doesn't have permission to do that right now because it needs to be in my stomach so that I can digest it and live. I think it's more important than him saving it up for later, for whatever purpose he has.
And if he doesn't consent to that,
I'll attack him.
So you're just threatening him with violence if he doesn't go along with it.
Correct, because he's threatening me with violence by not sharing it.
How is he threatening you with violence by not sharing it?
I'll starve. He's killing me. I'll starve.
Can inaction be violence?
Can inaction be violence? Absolutely.
Yeah. How so?
Well, if I see that somebody is drowning and I'm a lifeguard and I decide to sit there and let them drown, would you consider that violence?
I would say not violence, but certainly you wouldn't be fulfilling your contractual obligation as a lifeguard.
Negligence can absolutely be violence.
Negligence can be violence.
Yes. How about if I just stand by and watch somebody get raped?
Mm-hmm.
I do nothing. I don't call the police. I just stand there and watch.
It would certainly not be good. I wouldn't say it's impermissible.
I consider that violence.
I agree that it's
violence. You are partaking in a violent act by standing there and knowing that it happened and doing nothing to stop it. Yes, negligence is violence. Inaction can be just as meaningful and bad as action, and I consider that violence. Meaningfully, it's violence. If you don't consider violence, then clearly there's another word that would work better. But both of these can be fairly categorized as bad, right?
Sure. Yeah.
At least bad. A bad thing that happens. Yes. So fine, take it one step removed from violence. It's bad.
Sure.
It is bad for that person to not give me a coconut and let me starve to death, correct?
I would say, yeah, it's not good, bad, but I wouldn't say it's impermissible. I wouldn't say that it's forbidden.
Okay. So in your society, bad things are allowed.
Yeah, such as like you can self-harm, you can engage in drug use or anything like that. It's not good for you, and if people can intervene, they can, but nothing justifies the use of force to stop
doing
people
bad
from doing
things,
bad things.
Allowing bad things to happen to other people as a result of one's own inaction is allowed, right? Negligence. Yeah. You will allow negligence in your society. That's permissible by law.
You are not obligated to not be negligent.
How about if I starve my 4-year-old? How about if I starve my 4-year-old?
That one you have a guardianship relationship with the 4-year-old.
Oh, so there are exceptions to this rule of yours. See, this is what I meant by it's too complicated. I can't wrap my head around all this. I don't think anybody can.
The theory of childhood rights is slightly complicated, but it's not an exception to the rule.
Oh, so how about just how about a 20-year-old who is bedbound and quadriplegic? I just let them starve to death. They're not a child, so it's fine.
What's your relationship with this quadriplegic?
Let's say I don't know. What relationship would make it wrong? What relationship would make it okay? I ask you.
The what constitutes an impermissible action is aggression, and aggression is the contrary use of a use of a resource contrary to the occurring use of the resource, occurring non-aggressive use of the resource. That is basically to say any action or purposeful action that you take can constitute aggression if it is contrary to the current non-aggressive aim. So if somebody has a coconut sitting there, taking the coconut from them is theft. If they are chucking a coconut at your head, stopping that from hitting your head is not theft because their use of the coconut was aggressive.
So in Incapistan, if there's a starving person on the street, which exists in Incapistan, and that's just interesting to me, but let's run with it. So in Ancapistan, starving people exist, and sometimes those starving people try to go take food from people who are not starving, and those people are punished, right?
Thieves, even if they're starving thieves taking for sustenance,
Call them
are
whatever you
still
want. They're
committing
starving
aggression.
people.
Sure.
Call them whatever you want. They're starving people, right?
Sure, yeah.
We agree on that. Okay. Then starving people are punished for trying to take food in your world. I don't like
Aggressively?
that.
Yeah.
Aggressively? No, they just, what do you mean aggressively? It's just sitting there.
It's still
What if I
aggressively.
take my lovely basket of apples and set it out on my deck as decoration, and some homeless dude meanders by and takes one?
You're possibly communicating.
How many
that they're
years in
open to be
prison? How
taken.
many years? Oh wait, there's no prison, right? We just kill him.
No, it's not
Right?
killing.
Oh,
It would just
okay,
be
so where do we
remediation.
put him then? Remediation?
Yeah, I
Does he
think-
get fed at remediation? Does he get fed? Or does he just starve to death during one of the classes?
What? No, not rehabilitation. Remediation is the returning of the victim to a state prior to the crime. So he stole
they
an
die.
apple. He acquires an apple to return to the person. No death.
Oh, if he could get an apple without stealing it, he would have done that.
He's indebted an apple.
What you're requiring of him is impossible for him to procure.
What
the
man
means
cannot
by which
acquire an
he Are you asking why people starve to death on the streets? That's what you just asked.
I'm suggesting that the extent to which we're talking about here is a man who cannot engage in any labor whatsoever to either acquire an apple wild from nature, or
maybe he's quadriplegic.
How did he get to your house to go get up to your stand or in front of your house to steal that apple from the basket? It's wheelchair?
Motorized wheelchair, sure. He can move a finger. What's up, Mace?
Okay, he can sell his motorized wheelchair for a wheelchair, get an apple.
So we're gonna start maybe bringing a couple people up here. But before I do, a good question.
The brilliant
was
solution,
asked
by the
in
way.
Chat. And I'm assuming this is towards Aurelius. So he gets infinite
Before we do
chances
that-
to steal the apple. So essentially, he can steal the apple
It's a good question, too.
and just always bring back an apple, and that's always good.
While he answers that, I'm going to run to the bathroom.
I would say in ANCAP society, once he has remediated, it is unjustified to use any extra violence upon him, I think. There's an idea in anarchist legal theory of retribution as well, that rather than an eye for an eye, it is an eye for two eyes. I don't subscribe to that theory of justice. I don't think it's justified by the metaphysics. But that doesn't mean that there aren't other consequences. People can disassociate with you for being a thief, for being untrustworthy. They know that if you fall into hard times, rather than use any line of credit, or rather than take out any debt or borrow from any associate, that you are going to instead steal from other people. And then perhaps pay them back at another time.
We'll go ahead and get Voronok up here. And if Voronok has a question for Alec, he'll have to wait for Alec to get back.
Yeah, I have question. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, I have question for both of you. So I'll ask my question to the ANCAP first. So I know that most of this debate, at least as far as I have been able to see it, has been involved in a kind of non-philosophy, because these are two mutually opposing ideologies, right? I haven't heard a single thing about Marx or about any kind of thinker, right? Okay. Of course. So now it does kind of give me an issue. Why would you exactly what for you, on this kind of level, for society or everything, makes an anarcho-capitalist state better than what we currently have, right? The kinds of neoliberal, not necessarily neoliberal, but the kind of liberal democracy where capitalism exists, right? How would this be better? How can you prove it?
I would say I would break it down to ethics, economics, and those two primarily. Ethically, the state is a rights-violating rights enforcer, which is a contradiction of terms because it takes a monopoly on creating law and what rights are and then enforcing them. I think this monopoly is illegitimate. It leads to gross violations of people's rights, and especially the expropriation of property, forced association with itself, with the people, and then with people with each other. Conscription, which is a form of slavery. It leads to jails, which are another form of slavery. And I'm against all of these ethical violations on the grounds that there exists an objective natural law, which is derivable. And then on the economic side, the state intervenes in the economy, and every single economic intervention creates more problems. It makes people worse off. It makes them less prosperous. So I think that without that intervention, people would be extremely more prosperous. Nearly every good that is intervened on behalf of by the state, it comes at a higher cost at a lower quality as a result.
Okay. I guess, I would give some questions to that, like, of course, because I don't ask Gunter also something, so I guess I'll just give you some things to think about. If somebody is like a rapist, right, or a murderer, how is putting them in a prison where they work in a factory now, and they make bicycles, shoes, weapons for the military, food for people to eat, how is that bad? They're like, you're putting somebody who did horrible things into a position where now they have to be productive. But now to Gunter, I don't ask you because, as I told him before, as far as I've seen, I kind of came into it a bit late. I know, however, it does not seem like anything about any kinds of I guess philosophy or actual stakeholding exercises came up. It's all about the kind of sociological kind of how do you call it? Like when you
Order?
make a scenario that isn't real, but it's like a hypothetical, that's it. And so you're an anarcho-communist, right? This is obviously the anarchist fighting, yes. So we know, we actually have real life examples of anarcho-communist places. Catalonia, the territory made by Macron, and maybe a few others. And these places were both betrayed organizational states, such as the Stalinists in Spanish Republicans, and Lenin himself betrayed the Makhnovites. So then, do you actually think that there can ever be, a kind of anarcho-communism? Because clearly, somebody is going to want to take that land, because obviously, there's always going to be people who are ambitious or in power.
Why would somebody want to take that land? What's there?
Could be resources.
You just say that as though it's a constant.
Because it is a constant.
Do you want it?
If I was leading a country, it would be economically profitable to have more land, yes.
Oh, economically profitable. Well, that's fine because there's no economy in my system, so we don't got to worry about that. But they shouldn't want the land, right?
So even without an economy, right, resources still matter. You would say, right? Yeah, they always matter.
Okay. Well, that's the neat part. Also, everybody has what they need. There are enough resources to go around.
So then, how do you get that?
We just distribute them responsibly.
So how do you think you get that?
By getting everybody on the same page as me and making them understand that we don't need money or an economy. All we need is each other. We just need each other to provide, and we will. People do. Like, you go to a grill out, somebody's manning the grill. Like, you don't pay him to do that. He just does.
You were saying earlier that with Hodem. Okay. So anyways, so you were saying earlier, I remember, about how you think that everyone needs to be on, like you mentioned ants, right, and how ants behave.
Yeah, a superorganism.
Everybody needs to become part of this organism.
Yeah, the human superorganism.
It sounds to me like you are trying to, you are explaining a kind of transhumanist pseudo-fascism.
Pseudo-fascism? What do you mean? How's it fascist?
I think he muted. He's gone for a second.
Well, I don't know what he means by that, because I'm not trying, look, if I wanted to force my way down everyone's throats, I would do that. I wouldn't be here trying to convince people. I would simply grab some guns and go start the vanguard. I'd start the vanguard. I'm not trying to force my way. I'm just trying to convince as many people as possible that this can work. Okay, you muted for a while there, so I started explaining. But what were you saying?
Yeah. So sorry about that. My brother came in. But anyways, in fascism, right? They talk about how the state or anything comparable to a state is an organism, and everybody needs to everything is part of that organism, right? Everything needs to everything is like a tiny cell, right? Keep blood flowing and all of the organs running, right? This is a defining feature of fascism. How is this different than how you were?
What do you mean it's a defining feature of fascism?
It's a defining philosophical feature of fascism that
What is that like
the idea of
human-
like the everybody, like the state is an organism. It is the highest, or
I
anything.
didn't say the state's an organism. I said the people are. We are one superorganism. We are.
Just sort of like everything within the state, nothing outside the state, nothing against the state.
It still seems like the same thing. You just are replacing like the state with the idea of,
No, I'm not.
what the population at large.
Okay, what does the state look like in your house? Who governs it?
I mean,
You must surely have a state in your house. You need one.
so like if you're asking like how like the dynamics, like it's like in a sense like my mother, she takes care of the house. She makes pretty much most of the rules.
Okay, so she's the president in your house. She's the president or the queen.
Kind of.
Okay, so she's the queen, and that makes you the subject, right?
Kind of. I have to follow obviously rules. I mean, I can't live here, right?
Okay. Okay, so what is like the legal like consequence of breaking her divine law since she's queen of the house?
Well, theoretically, I could be told to leave. I don't do what I need to do.
Okay,
right?
she can kick you out.
Yeah.
What right does she have to kick you out of that house? Why?
Well, I'm an adult, and if like I'm not being productive,
She owns the house.
Yeah, exactly.
She owns the house. It's hers.
Yeah.
Through what means does she own that house? How does she prove it? Okay, I guess his brother came in again. Where I'm going with this is, okay, so she owns the house because the government says that she owns the house, right? Like, if it were just her own little monarchy, you could overthrow her, right? Like, what am I trying to say here? The point I'm trying to get at is there's no state in the house. Okay, this is silly. Your mom's not a queen. You're not a subject. You don't owe her tithings every month. Okay, like you just exist together. You coexist, and you can do that without a monetary exchange.
Would you suggest that your system is a system of voluntary cooperation of a communally owned society? Everybody owns everything in common.
That's complicated because like my neighbor can't just stroll into my house for no reason. But like when I say collective ownership, what I mean is we all understand where the lines are drawn between like what's mine and what's yours and when, and we just respect it because like nobody wants their shit to be taken. And the only reason that I would take somebody else's shit if I think it's my shit. Oh no, you don't get this. It's mine. Okay. And if I think that someone else's shit is actually my shit, I must have a reason for that. So then we have to go to court or whatever would constitute a court in my system. They call it a court, sure. And then we would decide, okay, why did you try to take this? What makes you think it's yours? And I would say, well, it has my name on it.
Say they don't want to exclude it at all outside of whenever they're actively using it. Say that that the only norm to exclusion is you can't stop somebody else that's using the thing. Why should there be any more exclusion outside of that?
Say that one more time.
So say like you actively start using your toothbrush and then you put it down and then someone like walks in and they're just like, Alec isn't using this toothbrush. Yeah, exactly. Just because it's so inconsequential.
Well, no, it's personal. No, it's personal. I like it because it's funny, but it's personal. It's real.
Yeah.
It's the best analogy you can use because what's more personal than using somebody else's fucking toothbrush? Mine is just kissing them at that point. Like a toothbrush is very personal.
That's fair.
So,
That's fair.
So when we talk about ownership of our toothbrush, right? Like basically it would have to be like I enter somebody else's house, steal their toothbrush, and then like either use it there or use it in mine, and then leave. Right?
Why should
now let's say that it happens in like a public restroom, even. Let's say or a locker room. That's perfect. Locker room. Let's say that we're in the locker room. Oh shit! I forgot my toothbrush. I see somebody else's toothbrush. Grab it. Start using it. That person catches me. What the fuck? You're using my toothbrush? Okay. Now in my system, what would happen is this: those two would. I don't think that anybody besides just those two would have to get involved, but like you gotta agree that guy's probably embarrassed that he got caught using somebody else's toothbrush, right? And if he's not embarrassed, he should be. So if he's not embarrassed, then that's its own whole crock of bullshit you got to go through. But if he is embarrassed, then clearly he knows he shouldn't have done that, and he would tenderly put the toothbrush back down and say, I apologize. I left mine at home. I will replace you. Like I will find a way to replace yours if you need another one. I'll bring you another one. Like this is how that would work. Like they would just like self-correct at that point.
How do you know any exclusion from property can justify or like how do you know that violence can be justified to exclude people from property at all? Because I'm not talking about the cases of like people consent to like some sort of agreement.
Because I want that, and most people want that. So if most people want that, then it's allowed. That's
just
democracy.
A lot of people want something or think something is true. Does that mean that it's true?
If you have rule of the majority, then yes.
Okay, so you have rule of the majority.
That yes, that's how science works. most scientists think that the Big Bang happened. There's an outlier here and there, but 99% of them pretty much agree that the Big Bang happened, and that's a majority. And that's why we say that the Big Bang is scientific fact at this point.
Is the truth based on scientific consensus?
Very often, yes. Very, like, in terms of what's my reality right now, yes.
So was it true that
Earth
was geocentric, that the solar system was geocentric?
At the time, to them, yes. Obviously, we found out, no, it's not. But in that time, what other source would you have trusted, if not the scientific consensus of people much smarter than you in this field?
So is the truth subjective?
In a manner of speaking, it's subjective to its time and to its subject, right?
Is that statement true?
Is the statement that I just said true?
Yes.
What do you consider truth? What's your truth?
I'll consider
turn the question
truth
back on you.
Sure. I have an esoteric ontology that I won't get into, but I'll simplify it by saying that truth is the set of becomings of all possible realities. And then something can be like true of our reality when we consider the causal history of reality. So if we consider the whole causal history going back to the Big Bang up until now, if something is coherent with that whole causal history, then it is true of our reality. Outside of that, it is true in some vacuous sense.
Okay.
And that is an objective foundation of truth rather than a subjective foundation of what people believe in a given time.
So how do we know that anything's true? Because everything is only true by majority consensus.
We can know things are true through, not necessarily know that they're true, but we can gain knowledge, justified true belief, from deduction and induction.
Deduction and induction? Okay, well, okay, so then what makes you so sure that you're better at doing that than other people?
I don't necessarily know.
Why do you trust yourself?
If I'm better
Are you an
at doing
expert
that
in all fields?
I don't necessarily know if I'm better at doing that than all people, but
are you better than anybody?
I think so. There's like the brain dead coma patient.
But you think that some people like speak the truth better than you do. Like you lie sometimes about things.
Oh, I don't lie.
Like just because you never lie. Okay, so you always say the truth.
Yeah,
you trust yourself to always speak the truth, even if you're not an expert in the subject, right?
I won't necessarily say. I don't know what you mean. Like even when I'm not on the subject, like I don't have knowledge of everything.
Then how can you trust yourself?
How can I trust myself when I'm not omniscient? Like trust myself.
How do you trust that you're right?
It would be specific to the individual proposition, not individual, but like to the specific proposition.
Okay, but you are still relying on yourself to trust the opinions and findings and whatever else, what have you, of other people.
What do you mean opinions?
Like expert opinions.
Pick an example.
Okay, an expert opinion is you should brush your teeth every day. It's an expert opinion. You trust that?
I mean, say like brushing your teeth reduces tooth decay or something.
Do you like it when your teeth aren't decaying?
I mean, like you included a should, which is like a sort of like moral imperative and everything else like that, which is why I'm clarifying. Brushing my teeth reduces tooth decay.
But if your dentist tells you you should brush your teeth every day, is he telling the truth?
I don't.
The alternative is that he's lying, right?
I wouldn't say that he's lying.
Is it a lie?
You could be incorrect.
Okay, then he's telling you the truth.
Incorrect without lying. And I would disagree about the fluoride because I would disagree with the statement because by toothpaste he tends to mean fluoride, and I don't like those for the other consequences for I think it's the thyroid.
So you can tell the truth and be incorrect, right?
You can tell the truth and be incorrect. I wouldn't say so. You can be honest and be incorrect.
What are you talking about? You just said, okay, you can be honest, which is different than telling the truth.
Yes,
those are different things.
It's what you believe. You can speak honestly about what you can believe. You can represent your
so when
beliefs
when I go and tell a kid to tell the truth, is the earth flat or round? That kid's going to look at me and go, well, what do you mean the truth? Do you mean be honest? No, that kid's going to say, well, the earth's round, right? Like if I say colloquially, tell the truth, that's what that means. Like people are being honest with me.
I would say the
so like we can go with your definition.
Tell me what you believe. Is the earth flat or round?
I guess.
Yeah.
What's up, Mace?
All right. My mic was not unmuting for some reason. We have roughly 30 minutes to go before the next debate starts.
Oh yeah, time flies.
I want to pull up at least one more person, and we're gonna pull up "On God I Love Water." I feel like we're kind of getting in the weeds of this like truth and such. So maybe
for sure.
I get metaphysical easily.
Get out of it a little bit. Water,
I got you. All right. So, you guys have mostly been talking about the or a little bit about the economics, mostly philosophy, and like the morality of each of your positions. I'm curious about the military side of your positions. Let's say that let's say the globe follows your ideology. Congratulations, you now have anarchic Earth or whatever. Let's say a group breaks away from your group and decides that they want to take over the world. They're fascist, evil Nazi dudes. That's what their name is. And how are you going to organize a defense of your ideology against a group that is arguably more organized? Because the fascists would have a state, they would have a military organization set up. You would have to start from scratch since you don't have a state, unless you do have a council of military. That's up to you to answer, but I'm just curious how you would go about defending your system.
Give it to you first.
Sure. I don't understand the question because in my system requires like a mandate of my system is that the entire world is participating. So in order for like a group of fascists to start forming like a tumor, like it would have to start at one spot, right? Within this stateless society. Like they decide to carve out a piece of land. So you're telling me they carve out a piece of land, right? What, there's like 100 of them, 1,000? Like how many are we talking?
Like I feel it could be any number. It could be 10 people for all I care. Like, I mean,
okay.
How would you stop these people?
How would you stop them? You intervene. You put together a council and you say, okay, listen, Joe down the street just started a fascist coup. Like he's literally in the process right now of gathering up all these Nazis and carving out a section of land that they're calling Ancapistan. And so, and they're trying to use money. They're trying to force people to pay for things like using money instead of just going to get what they need. So we need to like put an end to this. Like, I don't know where they got this idea that this is a good thing. They've had everything handed to them when they need it. I know Joe down the street's a very good plumber. Okay. And he does very good work on my toilets, but for some reason, he just decided that this was a better way to live, I guess. I don't know. We got to go handle this. Like, let's go talk to these guys. And they go talk to them. Say, what are you doing?
Is the council justified to use violence to stop them?
Not without figuring out why they're doing what they're doing. No. And they wouldn't, I don't think. They would just go talk. They would be like, what's going on? I thought we were cool. I thought we were chill, Joe. Why are you starting this fascist coup?
You want to interrogate further, Water?
I feel like that about answers it, right? You'd form a council and then you would oppose them after finding out what the reason for their insurrection is.
Yeah.
Right?
And if they're being violent, then you respond with violence. You put them down.
Okay.
It's unfortunate, but sometimes you got to do that.
And this is why I clarified a little bit at the start of the debate that I consider your system to be more so democratic communism rather than anarcho-communism, because you keep talking about councils and everything, and that is more so kind of like a tribalistic but democratic framework.
The anarchist part is that it's too fluid to be like any structured form of government. Any form of government is too strict. This is a fluid movement of, we need a council right now to go deal with that, okay?
Is it ruled by majority?
Let's decide who's ruled by majority, yes.
Okay, so
if they want to dissolve the council, they dissolve it.
That's a form of hierarchy. That's a form of like the society is stratified by the minority. The society is stratified by the minority who don't get what they want, and the majority who can majority votes to enact violence, because it is the whims and preferences of the majority that establish when violence is acceptable.
Are you saying there are disagreements sometimes?
I'm saying that the minority is ruled by the majority.
No.
That's democracy.
No. Your considerate rule to like just have all your needs met and be able to do whatever you want. Who's ruling you? What are you talking about?
The majority gets to dictate, gets to set the standard, gets to say what the standard is for when violence is justified.
Yes.
That is rule.
Yes.
That is,
but minus
that is
that,
the states.
Then who? Okay, then by that means, in your system, there's also rule.
I don't have democracy.
Well, really quick.
But you have a type of rule, though.
Just really quick, before you two get way too far into the weeds of it, because I mean, it is interesting. Here you guys
I can answer.
I do want an answer from Aurelius, yes, please.
So natural law anarchism, anarcho-capitalism, as it's described in this debate, is not toothless. As I said early on in the conversation, rights enforcement, security, whatever you want to call it. You can either acquire it for yourself, you can contact associates or contract specialists. This creates a flourishing market of security where no single entity has the monopoly over the market. You have competing specialists, you have cooperating associations between those specialists and between the like militias, neighborhood watches, mutual defense contracts between people, which would provision security at a higher quality and lower cost than a monopolized market. And as a result, the moment that these people start to trespass or use force or enslave people or anything else like that, said people can contract one of the specialists from the ANCAP Society or contact associates or do it themselves of ending that oppression and enforcing their rights. They can have voluntary fascism or Nazism or communism on their own land, but the moment where they start violating rights, such as enforcing their rules with anything more than trespass, that justifies the use of force to step in.
Nazi Germany, but on your land only. Famously, that's worked before.
And work camps where they where they're voluntarily kept there. They can leave at any time.
Famously, the Nazis never did a work camp in a country outside Nazi. That's never happened.
I'm saying they would be unable to invade anywhere else. They wouldn't be able to conquest.
What do you mean they'd be unable? If they had bigger guns, they'd be plenty able. What do you mean?
And the entire world?
Sure.
Yeah, the entire world's market of security. Yeah, there would still be nukes. They'd be a lot more precise.
It sounds a very safe world that you want.
Yeah, we'd be able to handle criminals, enact justice.
That's what's most important. That's what's most important in this world.
Oh, it's necessary. Criminals will always exist.
I didn't say necessary. I said most important, because that was the first thing you said is we were going to stop those criminals. I mark my words, they will be locked up. They will.
Not locked up.
We will throw people in cages.
Who said anything about cages? I'm for remediation and remediation alone.
Right, sorry, you said that. We will throw those people back on the street so they can do the same thing again. And we'll stop them again and again.
If they escalate to lethal force in you trying to detain them, then it escalates to lethal force and you're justified to use it.
Okay, we will either stop them or kill them, but no boxes. That's too much. That's too much for our society. But we can kill them. That's fine.
And then arbitrarily, the majority in your system can enact violence how they see so fit.
Oh no! See, you know I'm right. That's why you flipped it back around, man.
More so, I'm shooting a bullet back after biting mine.
Okay.
Because I will say that gang rape is democratic. Fine. Gang rape is a democratic norm.
Okay, but the overwhelming majority of humans don't like gang rape. So for all of democracy, we aren't going to legalize gang rape.
Do people have a right not to be gang raped?
Just to kind of divert from this topic.
I don't know. Apparently you can watch it.
We're going to get Z-Sev up here, and that will probably be the last person we'll be able to get up here. Z-Sev. I want to say... I don't know why. Anyway.
The Z is a typo I made when I was drunk, and I actually haven't fixed it. Anyways, hello, Alec. Talked to you before. I had a few things based on truth. You know, that bit on truth that you had earlier. I don't really want to talk about gang rape.
Understandable.
What I was thinking.
Fair enough.
Understandable. Yeah. You were saying how truth is defined mostly by the majority for you, right?
Perception's reality, right? Like,
yeah,
if our understanding, so like take it this way, like for a while, like it's fluid, right? Like we thought that the atom was like just a ball. It's just like this little marble that sits there, you know, and that's like,
we thought it was cheese once.
But then we thought what?
We thought it was cheese once, actually.
Cheese?
I don't know if that's ahistorical or not.
But we thought atoms were like these balls.
Goes back to ancient Greece. But yeah, go on. Sorry,
we thought they were like these solid balls, right? That kind of just bounce around and stuff. And that was more true than anything else, any other model that any scientist had built up to that point, right? Now, was it the truth?
No.
No? Oh, okay. No. Let's modify it so that now, okay, so we move forward in time. Now we have the proton, the neutron, and the electron, right? Yeah. And we have the protons and the neutrons in the center, and the electrons orbit around that. Kind of like how the Earth orbits the sun, right? Right?
Yeah. It's not
wrong.
Really,
wrong.
Yeah,
Why would you lie? The electron clouds are not like the planets. They don't move like the planets around the sun.
I did say not really, but I'm going to go
Were you taught a lie in school?
I mean, the teachers kind of lied.
Yeah.
They know better.
Wait, lies for children. But
it's a lie? Why are we teaching our children lies?
Because it's too complicated for them. I'll leave it to you.
That's the state of education system, isn't it?
But that's my point, is we're not lying to them. we're giving them the truth on a scale and in a perspective that they can understand and intuit. That's
Okay,
not
but
lying.
How does this?
And it's the truth.
Okay, listen. I think the crux.
The truth is
of
subjective.
I think the crux of the issue between. I'm just going to go with why I'm so fixated on this point first. Just a little side tangent, because I want to put my perspective across. I feel that the difference between our two ideologies is inherently based on how we view reality as a whole. I personally believe reality is something objective, something concrete, something that, it's something that we experience, and it's not quite changeable. That there are certain things that you yourself really can't change. I would think that you agree with me to a certain extent, but I'm not going to make assumptions about what you believe. And I think that if we can see each other's perspectives on what is essentially the very basics, the very, very basics of philosophy, even to you could extend it to economics, but the very basics of reality, essentially, then each other's worldviews will become a lot more apparent. And you can see, oh, I can see where you get that from. Oh, I can see where you get this from. It's like what you were saying earlier. Yeah. Sorry, go on.
No, like I was saying earlier, what? I cut you off.
Oh, no, I was just saying, it's like what you were saying earlier, like you said, if we all came together and people understood my worldview, then it would work.
Yes.
Now, I don't essentially agree with you with that, but I agree with you on a more basic level on sort of how.
Well, I understand
how
what
that
Aurelius
works.
wants better than Aurelius understands what Aurelius wants.
I'm not sure about that.
Maybe.
I am.
Maybe.
That's my truth. But my point is, yes, people need to take the time to stop and understand each other, right?
Yeah, we agree with that. We agree on that.
Even if we don't agree on a fundamental principle of how reality ought to function, we should at least come to an understanding of how the other person got to where they got.
Yeah, I think that's important. I mean, I've been trying to actually read some communist literature, just the basic stuff right now, but because I'm genuinely interested in how people get to these conclusions. It's fascinating to me that someone can reach what is essentially the exact opposite of what I believe. Not the exact opposite, but it's pretty far off in a lot of ways. But anyways, what I'd like to say, I'd like to give you a wee hypothetical.
Sure.
Did you eat breakfast this morning?
I did. Yummy egg sandwich.
Now, you were talking about how the majority dictates, mostly you were talking about how the truth was, in the medieval times, they thought the earth was flat. They didn't really, but for argument's sake.
That theory dominated and also served a function. The understanding of the earth as flat let people treat it as though it is. You know what I mean? That's a truth in some perspective. If you have a flat piece of ground, you just call it like a prairie, right?
Now,
it's a flat piece of ground.
What do you say if I just said that's just an opinion?
Okay, what's your opinion?
I would say it's round.
Okay, you think the Earth's round. Well, I don't farm on a sphere. I farm on a flat piece of land. So no, the Earth's not round, dummy. It's flat.
But this doesn't get us closer to truth, because you could.
It gets me closer to some fucking corn in my mouth.
Sure.
I don't know what you're farming
about.
on. You're farming on balls. I mean, if that works for you, great. I farm on flat land, brother. I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay.
See?
But
That's my truth. The truth's subjective.
Bev, would you
It's
say that
your
reality
truth.
is what we observe and not our observations?
Reality is not what we observe. It is what we observe, but it is not made up from our observations.
Yeah.
Oh, it absolutely
So
is.
what?
Yes, it is. That is
How do you know?
exactly how
No,
truth
it's-
works.
How do you know?
Because if everybody were dead, there'd be no truth.
How do you know?
Like,
Who's
Would
there
be
to
no-
set the truth?
What do you
Who's
mean
there
set
to
the
say the truth? Who's there to
but
say
the
it?
truth's just there.
Who's there to hear it? Who's there to hear it?
Would the Earth
Who's there
still
to
be
hear
there?
the truth?
Would the Earth still
I
be
don't
there?
know.
Doesn't speak.
I have no. Who's there to look at it? Who's
Okay.
there to see it?
Wrap up. You have a final question, and then we're gonna have to get into
Okay,
closing.
right. So going back to my metaphor, what happens if everybody said you didn't have breakfast this morning? Everybody's telling you this.
I guess I would think I hallucinated eating an egg sandwich.
No,
Even
but you
against your own
definitely did
experience?
eat
like
that egg sandwich.
Why would everybody be telling me this?
Against
What's like the motivation? Like the entire Earth just decides to send me a postcard and say, hey, you know that egg sandwich you had this morning? It was a
Say
myth.
they really
It
wanted
never
to-
existed.
But what I'm trying to get at is that it's not always based on other people's perceptions. It can be based on other things. Like some opinions are more important than others. Some opinions are definitely more important than others when it comes to discerning the truth, because truth isn't based on opinions. It's based on how sound your logic for saying that this is the truth is, you would trust a doctor on medical things more than some random guy in the street, because you generally know, and he'll generally have better reasons for why that thing is wrong in your body than the random guy in the street. But you'll trust, do you get the point I'm trying to put across? It's more based on how well you can explain something, how well your argument is for something, rather than just your volume and perspective.
So in terms of farming,
do I trust the farmer?
The earth is flat.
No, but farmers
I'm
don't.
a farmer.
Farmers don't study the.
What do you mean the earth's round?
Farmers don't study
I don't farm on balls.
of the earth.
Huh?
How do you know you're
Farmers
not
don't
farming
study
on a ball?
Yeah, how do you know
The
that?
earth is a ball. No, the earth in the back in my backyard is flat. It's not a ball.
Do you think the horizon is the end of the earth?
Yeah,
Do I think the horizon is? I don't know. I've never been there. I have no idea what's there. It could be an ice wall.
I mean, I'm an Argentinian helicopter farmer, and I've seen the curve, so I say you're wrong.
Where's the
curve?
See, this is a
Okay,
bit of
well,
a
I'll take your word
non-con.
for it, but the earth in my backyard is flat. Like, at least
So
in
we
my
can prove
backyard,
it's
that part's
round.
flat.
Z7,
But the part in my backyard is
can-
flat.
Z7,
we can prove it.
Well,
round.
I'm gonna have to pull you down. This is a very an interesting.
They're
thing.
silencing me.
Yes, you were being silenced, but I
They're
promise
silencing
you,
me.
Alec is very open.
Free
to debating
speech.
A lot of people. So get in
Yeah,
contact with
free
me.
speech.
Get in contact with him, and we can set something up.
Yeah. I'll see you later. See you
Excellent.
later.
Thanks for coming up.
All right, so we're gonna go into closing statements, and since have I been saying it right? Aurelius? I've been saying like Aurelius.
It's Aurelius.
Aurelius.
Yeah.
Figuring that out right at the end. We'll give
Very
Alec
regal.
the first 5 minutes to close. Time starts.
Sure. I appreciate Aurelius coming in for a conversation. I think that was interesting, enlightening. I still am not convinced that money is a necessity or that an economy is a necessity. It is a necessity in Kapistan for some reason. But why let money rule you? Why let money govern you? You call it law of nature. No, it's law of the dollar is what you want. Okay. And I'm sorry to be so harsh about it, but that's what it comes down to, because at the end of the day, right now, what we have in our society is that money is power, okay? Money was created as a means of having power over another person, because if another person takes an apple from my basket, they are now indebted to me $3. And that's power that I have over them, because the person who enforces that currency has a lot of guns, okay? So if you don't want to have people with a lot of guns knocking at your door, hand over the $3 right now. That's what money is. And you don't need it. Okay. Money is a construct that we made up. All you need is each other. And all you must do is recognize that. Okay. It works in a house. It works between two houses. You don't need monetary exchange between two houses, but for some reason you need them between two nations. Why? That doesn't make any sense to me. Everybody thinks that more people means more complicated and more danger and more distrust and this. It doesn't have to be that way. It doesn't have to. And the more people recognize and internalize this, the closer we get to that point where the entire world is just one big grill out where you give what you can and take what you need and have a good time.
All right, Aurelius, your 5-minute timer starts now.
Thank you. Well, it's been an interesting conversation, and I appreciate it. I would say that all throughout, the comments that I found interesting were that perception is reality, truth is subjective, but I don't think you're able to really evaluate that truth for yourself. I think the lack of an idea if the earth would still be around if there weren't anybody to observe it, if a tree falling in the forest would make a sound if nobody was around to observe it, is inconsistent at best. And I think that epistemological problem leads to you having a foundation of knowledge in the opinions of the majority, which seems to underlie your ethics as well, rather than basing what you think is ethical, what justifies force, on any amount of truth. You base it on what the majority's preferences are, and I think that can lead to absolutely abhorrent, unethical conclusions that can lead to great oppression of the larger society. I think we established that anarcho-communism, in your view, involves a council, it involves democratic rule, and I find that to be in violation of what anarchism is. It is a ruling relationship of the majority upon the minority. And regarding economics, economics is the allocation of scarce resources with alternative uses. There will be scarcity in the physics sense that I was talking about. You cannot boil a pot of water with a potential fire just because the potential for the fire always existed. Just because the resources that we had now always had the potential to exist doesn't mean they were actualized. Only actualized resources matter, and I think you and your system are unable to actualize resources at the quantity demanded for the fewest other resources. I don't think you're able to build a pencil, and that's a very simple thing that costs very little in terms of resources, not just money. But it requires advanced supply chains, which I don't think you're able to construct. And in terms of practicality, you require this like species consciousness where everybody in the world has to get in on it, and then you would still fail. Your society would still fail in the economic and ethics problem. So I will conclude to say that I hold that natural law anarchism is better for society, ethically, economically, and practically. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you for coming on, Aurelius.
Thank you very much.
As always, you're going to stay on the stage because
Of course.
you got another
Of
debate
course.
coming up. But
I do indeed.
would love to have you back. And if you'll send me your YouTube channel link, I can link that.
Sure thing.
If you want to plug that again as well.
Yeah, sure thing. I am Aurelius Argenti. I'm a student of libertarianism who has undertaken the goal of creating a unified theory of metaphysics, which seems to be implying existential aesthetic and moral realism, which is to say that existence, aesthetics, and morality are objective. I run the YouTube channel Foundational Philosophy, where I'll be posting about that as I complete my work.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you very much for coming on, man.
I hope you enjoyed that debate. And if you did, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe, and join the Discord server. The link is down in the description. But for now, that is all I have for you today. Goodbye.